Hello, and welcome, or welcome back to my vanilla tutorial series. My name is Kodiak, also known as CodiakTheKodiak on pretty much every single social media platform, and I thank you guys for watching. We haven't named this city yet, so I can't say welcome back to this city. We've received some suggestions, and I think after I upload this episode, I will make a community poll on YouTube and ask you guys what you think the city should be named. So, all these episodes have been kind of scripted before this. This one, not scripting, didn't script it out at all. I think we're just gonna start playing because honestly, we'll run into problems as we go. We'll make mistakes and we'll fix them. And you guys will kind of learn along with me. So it's always just great to kind of talk things through, and it's how you reinforce and relearn certain skills. So thanks for watching along. Let's get started. So if we remember from last episode, we kind of went over districts. We expanded pretty much everything out. I'll probably re-explain things as I go over them again, just to kind of reinforce all those ideas that we learned. So right now it looks like we need some commercial and industrial / offices. So let's get some more industrial down. We have some farming. We have some, or farming's over here. We have some lumber over here. That's good. We have this dump over here. I think since we have enough money, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a dump here. And if you guys remember from last episode, I kind of explained, maybe it was the episode before, I explained how these dumps, once you place them and they get garbage in them, you can't move them. So what I really wanna do is once it registers that there's a second dump in the city, we can now empty this dump to another facility, and we want to empty it to here. Then once it's emptied, we can destroy this landfill, because this landfill is polluting all this farmland. We don't want any pollution over here, because we did have pollution over here, but we want to get rid of it. So that's my primary goal for the dump. Dumps are cheap. We're already pretty close to making our money back for it. So we're gonna do that. So there's some things that our citizens want and need. One of those things is parks. So this episode's kind of going to be, I think, tailored to parks for the most part. Obviously, our goal is to hit busy town, but I might not hit that, and I might just purely go over parks in this episode. So this is the parks tab down over here, parks and plazas. As we know, the new DLC is Plazas and Promenades, which obviously park related. There's also the parks DLC, which is Park Life is fantastic DLC. I highly suggest it. We will be implementing it soon. I think maybe next episode we will start sprinkling in some DLC, and I think that one will be parks. So stick around for that, as this will become a park and it should be really fun. So the first thing we're gonna do is when we notice, you'll get this leisure heat map, right? There's unique buildings, plazas and parks, public libraries. Plazas and parks and unique buildings both provide the park buff benefit, makes all the buildings in an area happy. It counts as a service. So if you put it near industrial areas, so like for example, these industrial buildings, educate more citizens, the building could be upgraded. Well, once you have enough educated citizens, you also need to provide these buildings some services, and parks count as a service for them. So it can also help upgrade your industrial building. However, we're going to primarily focus them on our residential buildings, because as we place them, it will help upgrade some of these buildings, right? So obviously it says educate more citizens, but if we provide them with some wealthier customers are needed, and wealthier customers want to go to areas that have parks and leisure. So my favorite park in the game is the dog park. So we're going to definitely place the dog park down. I'm going to look around. We remember the road hierarchy I talked about. Parks will typically be off close to a collector, but off of it. And I think right here might be a good spot for this side. But if we want this side to be encompassed in it, which I don't think we do, because we're going to be building this big park here, which should encompass this side. So I think actually right here is going to be really good. We're going to remove some of these homes, but worth it. Look at all those people. Look how happy they are. See, it was worth it. It was worth it for the dogs, worth it for the people. We the people want dog parks. So now if you notice, they're not all red, but they're also not in a high legend, even if they're right next to it. Like they start to get there, but they're not really there. So we're gonna have to place probably another one, maybe another two, just to get it up. I think I'm gonna place another one right here, and I think we're gonna place large playground. Now, if you really want something that will fit and wedge into your city, obviously the large park with trees takes up it's bigger than our grid, right? So we could break up the grid if we wanted to place this, right? And then we could have our roads not be completely uniform, which could be cool. It's a nice way to break up your grid, adds a little bit of design aesthetic to your city, a little bit less of an eyesore that way. However, you can also put in the small park, and the small park will fit in perfectly. As you can see right here, if we were to put a road right here, coming this way, this would wedge in perfectly to one of these blocks, one of these city blocks, because it's 8 deep. So one really cool thing we can do here, I think we are gonna place it right here, because we are gonna end up. I'm questioning it. I think we are gonna put it here. So right now, this is kind of gonna be the higher wealth end of town. I think we'll also start upgrading some of these roads. We're making money. Our taxes are set to 12. Not sure how utilities are doing. Utilities are right at the bare minimum. But I think we start upgrading some of these roads. So let's do that. And by some, I mean all the roads. Now while I was upgrading these roads, if you notice when I went to upgrade this road, this building right here destroyed itself. And let me show you why that happened. So when we have the dirt roads, they are ever so slightly smaller than the roads with sidewalks. And because of that, this road was able to produce a 3x2 plot. However, once we add the sidewalk roads, this road, when upgraded, eats too far into the edge of this block and destroys it because of the sidewalk. And so if there was a building here, which there was, it destroyed it. And that can happen, so just keep that in mind when upgrading your roads. Sometimes, like especially if you place like a school right here or something like that, you would not be able to upgrade this road and you'd have to move the school in order to do it. So keep that in mind when you're building your city, that sometimes that can happen when you deviate from a grid. We're gonna build this road up a little further now. I think we're just gonna make this a straight line. Looks nice that way. Make sure that's at 90 degrees. It's trying to fight us. Okay, so now that we have this park, there's some really cool features that parks offer. So obviously you have, the whole point of park is to have people come and visit. So visitors last week, 0. Tourists last week, 0. So visitors are people who live in your city. Tourists are people who are coming to visit your city from outside. They don't live in the city. They're just there as a tourist. So this is just a good way to keep track of, are your citizens using it or are outside entities coming to visit it the most? That can be useful, especially when you come into DLCs and try to decide, okay, should we have public transit here? Is it mostly locals? And you can click on the toggle traffic route view and you can see all the people coming to and from that building. So for example, if we look at some of these commercial buildings, right here, we notice we have some people coming from over here that are trying to get to this building, and their route is to come to here. My assumption is by vehicle, maybe. Nope. Pedestrian, private vehicle. So this person's coming by a private vehicle and then they're gonna walk all the way over here once they get out of their car. So, and then we also have an industrial truck coming to this building. And you can click on a lot of these buildings. Like this is a drugstore. We have somebody coming from this direction using a private vehicle. If we click over here, it looks like we have some pedestrians coming over this way. They're walking here. So that way you can kind of tell, oh, okay, so where are people coming from? That'll really help with traffic in the long run. So, but we're gonna place that park there. And something really cool about parks, if we go into our landscaping tab, which landscaping we will probably go over next episode with the parks DLC, is if you go, so we have the landscaping tools, and then we have paths, which I believe I've talked about before. Now you have dirt paths and you have paved paths. So let's take a look at both of them. So this is a dirt path and this is a paved path. If you put a paved path or dirt path close enough to a road, it'll automatically create that connection. As long as there is a connection made to the road like this, even though we didn't draw it all the way, pedestrians will use the path. So something really cool to point out about that. Certain parks have built-in paths, so you can actually just grab onto this path, drag it straight across, and look at that. Now, I know there's a shadow here, but you can walk from this sidewalk all the way into the park. And that does eat into our zoning, but houses can build up right here or right here. And that is exactly what we're gonna do. Sadly, they're gonna have to be listening to that. Sometimes it won't properly delete certain zoning tools. So if you don't want it to look a little funky, you can go like that, leave it open, which is what we'll do. And eventually that'll build up. So yeah, fun fact about certain parks is that you can build walking paths off them. So I could have centered this park in this square if I wanted to and had walking paths coming off. If this grid was a bit wider, we could have had it coming off north or south. Just this one way has to be connected when you place it initially, has to be connected to a road, and otherwise it'll have connections from walking paths. Because if this catches on fire, then the fire trucks have to get here. So it has to have a road connection. There's some other interesting parts. We have the bouncy castle, which is pretty big for what it is. We have the botanical gardens, which is very large. Obviously, we've looked at the dog park. There's a small playground, which is small. Doesn't eat up too much space. We have the park with trees, which is giant. It is very big. And then we have the what is this? Large playground. We have the carousel park, which is pretty small. And one of my personal favorites, the Japanese garden. And I like the Japanese garden because it is very small. Very small. It's only a 4x4, which is very nice. And it has a pretty decent size radius. There's some other ones that we'll unlock. As we hover over them, we can see that we can unlock the tropical garden when we reach 3,600 population. We'll get the fishing island, which can only be placed on the coast at 5,500, and a floating cafe. And it can be placed on any coast too. If you build like a little lake in the center, you could even place it there. So pretty cool. Let's get to playing and let's see if any issues arise. It looks like we have a pretty hefty amount of traffic, but everything is flowing really nice. It's flowing really smooth. We have this dump emptying is already at 18%. It was at 22 if you guys remember. It's going down. It's at 17%. Once that's at 0, sometimes it will start refilling automatically. And so if you have that problem, you just need to keep an eye on it. And as soon as it hits 0, just hit this on-off button and it'll toggle this buildings off. So we can do that right now. So if we do that, we turn that off, you notice it blinks 2 different kinds. So we'll hit that button and it'll blink like this. So if a building is turned off, it'll have this little icon right here. You can even zoom in, look at these cute little details, right? I mean, I guess it's not cute, it's a dump, but you know, you got some spools of some kind of cable thrown in here. Lots of wasteful products. But anyways, that's the symbol for that. So we want to empty the building. And it's gonna take all the trash over to this landfill. So I think I'm gonna start expanding more out this way. It looks like we do need some more residential. I don't think I'm gonna upgrade these roads yet until probably next episode. So we'll keep this side of town dirt for now. Looks like we're starting to throttle our power a little bit. So let's change our budget. It'll reach a certain point where like budget isn't gonna be as big of a concern. That's kind of starting to creep up on us now. So you won't need to start lowering and raising it as much unless you're really trying to like quickly do things. There's a lot of traffic over here right now, and a lot of it is primarily due to the landfill emptying. You have 15 garbage trucks that can be utilized from your landfill site, and all of them are being used to take trash over from there to over here. So there'd be a lot less traffic over here if not for this. But while all this is going on, we can take a look at our sound map and notice how the more vehicles start ending up on these roads, you notice they're starting to get a little bit of a red hue around them, and that's because of how much traffic is being used on these, right? The more traffic that's on these roads, you can see it kind of going down as less vehicles use this, and you can see it starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger as more cars come through. And, you know, obviously that noise pollution starts to add up, so especially when you start to get to high density. So I'm gonna wait around until this landfill is completely empty. And as you can see, emptying finished, and you get this little like exploding, kind of looks like the Walmart logo, but in green. Little pew explosion. Hey, I'm empty. And so now you notice that the relocate building, which was grayed out before, if we go look at the other landfill site, you notice you cannot relocate the building. We can relocate this one now, which also means that we can destroy it, which is what we want to do. However, I am contemplating whether or not I just want to relocate this one over here, so that way we have the 2 landfill sites already set and ready to go. You know, I think I'm gonna leave it. I think I'm gonna leave it for now, or not leave it. I don't think I'm gonna move it. I think I'm just gonna destroy it, call it a day. And now that will help reduce the overall pollution over here, which was very small, especially while it was emptying. You see how quickly all that pollution that from that industry area that was originally here is actually gone already. So pretty neat, pretty good. You notice that we are starting to get some pollution to actually come out of our water drainage pipe as we get more and more buildings coming in to our city. And as you also will notice, our power grid is disconnected because it was connected through the dump. So we'll just connect that back up. We actually don't even need that connection anymore because these wind turbines are actually all connected. So we don't even need that. Now, let's look at this. We got a problem. Those skull and crossbones. And no, this isn't pirates. This is dead people. Someone has died in this building and they don't have anywhere to take them because we haven't built death care. Click down on your healthcare tab up at the top left. You can look between healthcare, death care, child care, and elder care. Child care and elder care are newer to the game. We won't talk about those for a while. However, death care is here and we have to do something about it. So we can place our first cemetery. Now, cemeteries are 8 blocks wide, so they fit perfectly in our little grids that we have made. I think I'm gonna put the cemetery right here, right across the street from the park. I'm going to rebuild our power lines because our power grid is actually connected from one side to the other side of the city, right? This is our only connection over here. I'm actually gonna draw this down over to here. Wants to put it on the road, like that. So we'll back it up in 2 spaces, just like that. Draw that line down, finish off our grid, and there we go. So now we have death care services, and now if we take a look, it'll start spawning hearses. And cemeteries function just like landfills. Once there's a dead body in there, it has to be emptied the exact same way. Now, you might be thinking, well, shoot, like, we're just gonna have dumps everywhere. Well, there is incinerators and crematoriums that will take care of the dead bodies in those facilities. If you just wanna remove all of the cemeteries down the road, you can just empty them into crematoriums or incinerators and then remove all landfills or cemeteries. Editing Kodiak here. I decided while editing this video that I think this is a good spot to end. I want to keep these shorter so I can actually pump out more videos over time, and I think it can be a little bit more efficient and keeping content constant. So this is going to be the end of the episode. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all so much. If you have any questions or ideas for names for things, please put them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.